Okay, Assalamualaikum everyone. So today we are going to continue with stimuli and response part 2. Okay, before I continue the lesson, I think I want to make some revision about what we have learned, okay, for last week. Okay guys, so I think this type of neuron I haven't taught you, but it's all right. So this is okay. Let me make it bigger. Okay, so this is neuron. Okay, so neuron is known as a nerve cell. So when I say nerve cell, you also should know that I also refer to the neuron. Okay, so the function of neuron, okay, is to transmit the nerve impulse from receptor to the brain and also to the effector. Okay, so basically this is the general uh, picture of neuron. Okay, so in one simple neuron, it contain, okay, the first one dendrite. Okay, so this one dendrite, and then we have myelin sheath. Okay, this one, and we have axon. Okay, axon is this one. Okay, and the last one we have cell body. Okay, so this is the general picture about how neurons looks like. Okay, so basically there are three types of neuron. Okay, the first one is afferent neuron. Okay, and then we have efferent neuron, and the last one interneuron. Okay, so for afferent neuron, it is also known as a sensory neuron. Okay, and then for efferent neuron, this one, we also can use the term motor neuron, and the last one interneuron. Okay, and the other name for it is relay neuron. Okay, so each different neuron will carry different function. Where afferent neuron, the function is to carry nerve impulse from receptor to the brain or spinal cord. Okay, and then for efferent neuron or motor neuron, it will carry nerve impulse from the brain or spinal cord to the effector. Okay, and the last one, interneuron or relay neuron, it transmit impulse between afferent and efferent neuron. Okay, so this is how afferent neurons looks like. Okay, so this is afferent. As you can see, this is afferent neurons looks like, and then this is efferent neuron. Okay, uh, so for efferent neuron, if you notice, the cell body, okay, I will distinguish to you the difference between afferent and efferent. Okay, the first one for afferent neuron, if you notice, okay, the cell body is in the middle. Ni, awak tengok ni. But for efferent neuron, okay, the cell body is located, okay, at the left side. At the left side. But for afferent neuron, the cell body is located in the middle. Okay. The next one is relay neuron. Okay, so or interneuron. Okay, the location of cell body is in the middle. Okay, so I hope you can distinguish, okay, between interneuron, afferent neuron, and efferent neuron. Okay, so this is how I make. Okay, this is the table that show to you the comparison between the comparison among these three neuron. Okay, so for afferent neuron, okay, the structure it has long dendrite and short axon. Okay, but for interneuron, okay, it has short and also short dendrite and also short or long axon. But for efferent, it has short and long axon. Okay, and the function, okay, this one is the same like I have mentioned just now. Okay, guys, so the next one, okay, I want to tell you to make you some revision about how from stimulus, we can make a response. Okay, for example, the stimulus here is the light from the candle. Okay, when you observe something, for sure you will use your eyes. So the stimulus is the light, okay, from the candle. So the receptor, which is photoreceptor, present in our retina of eyes. Okay, okay. Let me put it everything there. Ni, you see, okay. The stimulus is okay. You still remember stimulus, right? Stimulus is the one that will change in the environment. For example, light. Okay, so this light, okay, this stimulus, okay, will be detected by. Apa tak ada pula ni? Okay, it doesn't matter. Okay, guys. So for example, stimulus, okay, is the light. Okay, so it will be detected by receptor, which specifically photoreceptor in the retina of the eyes. Okay, so this receptor, it will send the nerve impulse, okay, to the brain. Okay, to the brain using what? Using afferent neuron. Okay, here actually it should have afferent neuron. Okay, I don't know why in this slide suddenly afferent neuron doesn't appear. Okay, so here should be afferent neuron. Okay, so inside the brain there is a interneuron. So the interneuron will connect, okay, between afferent neuron and efferent neuron. Okay, and then the brain will interpret, okay, the information, and then the brain, okay, will send the nerve impulse, okay, to the effector. Like I say, the famous example of effector is muscle. So using what? Using efferent neuron. Okay, and then this effector will make the response. Okay, move towards the candle. Okay. Okay, the next one. Okay, I want to tell you about refract action. Okay, so the example of refract action is, for example, you are touching a hot object or knee jerking. Okay, so basically, I think I have mentioned to you about the difference between voluntary and involuntary. Okay, involuntary action or involuntary coordination and response are the same thing. Okay, so involuntary action is the action that you cannot control. Okay, why? Because it is governed by the spinal cord. Why? To produce an immediate response. For example, you touch a hot object, so definitely you will remove your hand. Okay, without thinking. Okay, so I give you some explanation about this. Okay, so here, okay, as you can see, the green color here is afferent neuron. Okay, afferent neuron. Okay, and the red one is interneuron, and the blue one here is efferent neuron. Efferent neuron. Okay, so for example, when you touch a hot object, okay, the pain receptor, okay, will detect the stimuli. Okay, the stimuli is hot object. Okay, so what will happen is that this pain receptor, okay, will send the nerve impulse to the spinal cord using what? Using afferent neuron. And then when okay, inside the spinal cord there is interneuron. So interneuron will send the nerve impulse to the efferent neuron. Okay, and then from spinal cord it will send the nerve impulse to the effector using efferent neuron. Okay, so when the effector, like muscle, receive nerve impulse, it will make the response. So the muscle will contract and withdraw the part being stimulated. So when the muscle in the arms contract and relax, this enable the hand to be withdrawn, okay, from the hot object. Okay, same goes to the knee jerking. Okay, okay, for the knee jerking, if you notice, okay, this is still spinal cord. Okay, but for the knee jerking, if you notice in the spinal cord, there is no interneuron. Okay, they are only afferent and efferent. Okay, this one, this is afferent neuron. If you notice, okay, I make it line. Okay, afferent neuron. Okay, so it arrived at the spinal cord. Okay, and then in the spinal cord, okay, here, okay, previously we know that there is a interneuron, but especially for knee jerking, there is no interneuron in the spinal cord. So here, you notice this is efferent neuron. So why this happen? This is to produce faster response. So that's why when someone, you know, ketuk your knee, you will, you will apa, raise your foot lah. Okay. So this is how it works. You see. Ni. Okay. Okay, guys. So I think that's all for our revision. Now, let's continue with the topic. Okay. Okay, where is it? Okay. Hold on. Okay, guys. So next, we are going to continue the lesson. Okay, let me make it bigger. Okay, some of you do not understand, okay, a few subtopic we have learned. Okay, maybe I should teach you a little bit about this. Okay, the first one is about limitation of sight, okay. So there are a few example for limitation of sight. The first one is optical illusion, and the last one is blind spot. Okay, so this is the example. This is these are the example of optical illusion. Okay, so if you notice, P and Q and Q and R and S. Okay, basically they have the same length, but due to the distraction. So this one is distraction. This one is distraction. Okay, due to the distraction, you will see that these two have different length, but actually they have the same length. Okay, same goes for this one. Okay, which spot in the center is larger? If you notice X and Y, okay, actually X and Y in the middle, they have the same size, but due to distraction, like this one and this one, so you will consider that X is smaller than Y. Ni. Okay, so here from the definition, it said that optical illusion occur when an object is seen differ from actual state. Optical illusion occur because the brain is unable to accurately interpret the object seen by the eyes due to distraction around the object. Ni, as I said just now. Okay, actually PQ and RS, they have the same size, the same length, but due to distraction, this is distraction. This is distraction. So our brain cannot interpret this distraction. So you will consider that these two have different length. In fact, they have the same one. Okay. Enough with optical illusion. The next one is blind spot. Okay, so blind spot is actually one of the thing that you can find in the eyes. Okay, so I will show to you where you can find blind spot. Okay, so okay, let's go back to the previous page. Here, this, okay, this is blind spot. You see blind spot. Okay, so this is blind spot. Okay, so blind spot, for your information, it has no photoreceptor. Okay, it has no photoreceptor. Why photoreceptor is important? Because we know that photoreceptor, the function is to detect the stimulus of light. Okay, where does photoreceptor you can find? In the retina. Okay, in the retina. The yellow in color here is retina. So inside retina, there are many photoreceptor. But in a blind spot, there is no. There is no photoreceptor. So when the image land on the blind spot, Okay, so you will not see any image. Why? Because inside blind spot there is no photoreceptor. Okay, let's go back to the current topic. Wait. Okay, here. So we are unaware the presence of the blind spot in the eyes because it is impossible for the image of the same object to fall on the blind spot on both eyes simultaneously. So this is the activity that you can examine your blind spot. I think this one you can do by yourself. Okay, so what I want to highlight here is that a blind spot is the place in our eyes where it has no photoreceptor. So when the image land on the blind spot, we will not see the image. Okay, let's continue. Okay, the next one, some of you have asked me to reteach about this one, but it's all right, I will tell you right now. So defect of the sight and way to correct them. Okay, so there are two types of defect of the sight. The first one is short-sightedness, and the next one is long-sightedness. Okay, so for short-sightedness, in Malay, we call it as a rabun jauh. Rabun jauh in Malay, in English, we call it as a short-sightedness. But for long-sightedness, in Malay, we call it as a rabun dekat lah. Rabun dekat. Ni rabun jauh, ni rabun dekat. Okay, so how this happen? For example, we know that short-sightedness is inability of the person to see the object from distance. Okay, for example, this is the distant object. Okay, the red in color showed the ray of light. Okay, because we know that every object will show us the light. Okay, so this one is the light of from the from object. Okay, so when the light enter the eyes, if you notice, the image is formed in front of retina. Retina is here, ni belakang ni. Ni retina is in front. Retina is located here. So if you notice, those who have short-sightedness, the image form in front of retina. We know that in retina is the place where you can find photoreceptor. So right now, since the image is not formed on the retina, the nerve impulse cannot be sent to the brain for interpretation. So how can we correct this? We use concave lens. If you notice concave lens ni, dia slim kat tengah ni. It has slim structure in the middle. So when you wear concave lens, if you notice, the light will land on the retina. So we can say that the image is formed on the retina. So when the image formed in the retina, we know that the retina has photoreceptor. So photoreceptor can send the nerve impulse to the brain for interpretation. So that's the reason why you can see the object from distance. And then for light sightedness, if you notice, the image is formed behind retina. So in order to correct it, we use convex lens. Kalau convex lens ni dia gemuk. So what happened? This will make the light land on the retina. So the image will be formed on the retina. Okay. The next one is astigmatism. So astigmatism, seeing part of object clearer than the rest of object. For example, if you focus at the middle, the rest of the image you will find blurry. Why? Because you focus on that particular area only. This defect is caused by uneven cornea of the eyes. Ni cornea ni yang pintu masuk ni. So it means that those who have astigmatism, they have uneven structure of cornea. So how to correct this? you can use cylindrical lens. Okay, so cylindrical will look like this. Okay. Okay, guys, so I think that's all for the revision and a few things that you don't understand. Next, we are going to enter the last one, which is the stimuli and response happen in the plant. Okay, so the first one is tropism. Okay, tropism is a directional response of plant to the stimuli such as light, water, gravity, and touch. Okay, so I repeat again. Okay, in a simple definition, I would say tropism is a response of the plant towards stimuli. Okay, I repeat again. Tropism is a response of the plant towards stimuli. So the example of stimuli, okay, conducted or detected by the plant, for example, light, water, gravity, and touch. Okay, so let's move on. Okay, the first one we see okay. So for tropism, okay, they have different types. Okay, so the first one, phototropism. Okay, so phototropism is a response of plant towards light. So here you can see, so the plant will do phototropism. Why? Because they respond towards light. So the stimulus here is the light. Okay, the shoot plant show positive tropism, which grow towards direction of the light. So we know that the plant has shoot and also the root. So basically the shoot, okay, it will show positive phototropism. Why? Because it grow towards the direction of the light. Okay, for example, if the light's here, so it will go in that direction. But in this book, this is the direction of the light. Okay, but the plant basically, okay, sorry, the what? Okay, so ni lah. Okay, the shoot plant show a positive tropism. Why? Because it grow towards the light. Why this is very important? Because the plant need the light to do photosynthesis. So positive phototropism will ensure that the shoot, okay, and the leaf obtain enough sunlight to make food for photosynthesis. Okay, the next one is hydrotropism. Okay, phototropism, we know that it is a response towards light. Now, for hydrotropism, it is a response of the plant towards water. So basically, the root of the plant will show positive tropism, hydrotropism. Why? Because we know that the one that will absorb the water is the root, which grow towards the direction of the light. So as you can see here, okay, the root will show positive hydrotropism. Why? Because it grow towards the water. Okay, for example, okay, what is teacher? Maybe some of you will ask me, teacher, can it be negative hydrotropism? Yes, it can be. For example, if the root, okay, grow away. For example, instead of here, it go in direction against opposite to the direction. So it's mean that it has negative hydrotropism. But right now it show positive hydrotropism because it grow, because the root grow towards the water. Okay, why? Why is very important? Okay, positive hydrotropism will allow root of the plant to obtain water to carry out photosynthesis and absorb dissolved mineral salt to stay alive. Okay, so water is very important lah. So that's why the root will show positive hydrotropism. Okay, the next one is geotropism. Okay, so geotropism is the response of the plant towards gravity. So here, if you notice, they show to you two types of geotropism, either positive geotropism or negative geotropism. Okay, so basically, root will show positive geotropism because we know that gravity, everything should be at the bottom, not at the top. Okay, for example, if you release a ball from your hand, so the ball will fall down. So right now, only shoot will grow downward, but the shoot grow upward. So we can say that root show positive geotropism, which grow down, which grow downward towards the direction of gravity. Okay, positive geotropism will allow the shoot of the plant to grow into the ground, grips and stabilize the position of the plant in the ground. On the other hand, shoot of the plant show negative geotropism. Why? Because it grow upward and against gravity. So that's why shoot of the plant show negative geotropism. Okay. So why negative geotropism is important? To allow the shoot and leaf of the plant to grow upward to obtain more sunlight for photosynthesis. So if you notice here, okay, the shoot show negative geotropism, the root show positif geotropism. Kalau shoot negatif, kalau root positif. Why? Because they grow in direction of gravity. Kalau negatif, it grow in the opposite direction of gravity. Gravity ni mesti ke bawah. Okay, the next one. Okay, thigmotropism. Okay, thigmotropism is a response towards starch. Okay, so for example here, you see the dendril or twinning stem show positive thigmotropism because they cling onto whatever object or other plant come into contact. Okay, this response enable the plant to grow downward to obtain sunlight and grip the object to obtain support. Ni awak tengok ni. For example, morning glory plant has stem that twin, okay, around the object in contact with it. So dia akan melilit dekat pagar ni. Okay, why? This is to obtain more sunlight and grip object to obtain support. Okay, can you understand? Okay, the next one is about nestic movement. So nestic movement is the response towards a stimuli such as touch, but it does not depend on the direction of stimuli. Okay, for example, ni pokok apa tadi? Ingat cikgu nama apa pokok dia. Tapi when we touch it, it will produce immediate response. Why this is important? Because okay, you see here, this nestic movement serve as a defense. Okay, against enemy or strong wind. Okay, I'm sure you guys are familiar with this kind of plant, right? Okay. Okay, guys. So let's see what else. Okay, guys. So the next one. Okay, the importance of response to the animal. Okay, so in terms of vision, we have two types. Okay, either stereoscopic vision or monocular vision. Okay, so here, okay, this is the example of stereoscopic vision. Okay, you see here. Okay, human and animals such as cat and owl have a pair of eyes located in front of their head. So animal and also human. Okay, for sure human has what? Stereoscopic. Why? Because the eyes is located, okay, on the front of our head. Okay, but for monocular vision, okay, awak tengok. Okay, the eyes is located, okay, at the side of the head. So kiri dan kanan. But for human or certain animal, the eyes is located in front of the head. Okay, so here they show to you the difference between stereoscopic and monocular vision. Ni awak tengok the first one, kalau stereoscopic vision, the eyes are located in front of the head. While monocular vision, both eyes are located at the side of the head, okay, right and left. Okay, so the next one, for stereoscopic, it has narrow field of vision. Okay, but for the monocular, it has wide. So here you see in the blue color. Okay, here narrow, yang ni wide. Okay, and then okay, human and most predator have stereoscopic vision. So basically, like tiger, like human. Okay, we have the stereoscopic. But for the prey, they have monocular vision. Okay, so why this is important? The ability to estimate the distance accurately to help animal to hunt. Okay, and then a wide field of vision help animal to detect enemies from coming any direction. Okay, here it has three-dimensional image form. Okay, in the overlapping field of the vision allow the distance, size and depth of the object to be estimated accurately. Tapi yang ni ada two-dimensional image sahaja. Okay. Okay, let's continue. Okay, the rest of it you can read by yourself. If you have any question, you can PM me. Okay. Okay, so this is the hearing frequency of the animal. Okay, so different animal will have different kind of frequency. Okay. So this one is very straightforward information. I think you can read by yourself. Okay guys, so I think that's all for today. So we are officially done with chapter stimuli and response. So I already gave to you the the link, okay, for textbook font 3 because this chapter is actually you can find in font 3. So you can use that soft copy, okay, to make some revision. Okay, those who have any question, you can PM me, and I wish you all the best for your exam. Okay, so make sure you study really well. Okay, remember there are topic that we include, okay, in your exam. Okay, the first one is stimuli and response, and then we have transport in the plant, and the last one is blood transfusion. Okay. Okay guys, so I think that's all for today. So if you have any question, you can PM me, okay? So all the best for your exam. Okay, goodbye. Assalamualaikum.